sketching and extrude exercise. So based on what you've already done on Onshape, you should be able to complete this using the tutorial video. Obviously it's more advanced, it's a more advanced sketch. The extrude part is nice and quick and easy, but I'm gonna go through this with you together. So you're gonna create a new part studio, just as I'm doing here. You're going to follow along, and you're going to rename that sketching / extrude exercise. Great. Okay, so I'm going to be using my original sketch as kind of my base to be able to walk you guys through this. So this is essentially the shape that we're going to be drawing. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start off with this center point circle that's 8 inches in diameter. We are working in inches. So I'm going to make a new sketch, and I'm going to make that on my front plane so I could view my gear from the front. Then I'm going to make a center point rectangle, center point circle, sorry, that's 8 inches in diameter. And then go ahead and zoom out. Okay, now let's look at the next step. The next step that I would go about doing is I would probably create this outside circle. Okay, so if you're ever in an Onshape document and you don't know the diameter or the length or width of something, if you click on the shape, you'll be able to see the dimension down at the bottom right hand corner. So the diameter of my outside of my gear is 30. So I'm going to go back to my document that we're working in right now. I'm going to use a center point circle starting at the origin, and that's also going to be 30. Okay. Now, let's go back to our reference document here. The next step that I would probably do are these circles. Now, I was able to do these circles really quickly using a circular pattern, so I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So the diameter of my circle is 2, and that circle is both in line with the origin and 9 inches from the top of my outer circle. So I'm going to center point circle. I'm going to hover over the origin, slide my mouse up. You see that dashed yellow line. That ensures that it's in line with the origin. I'm going to click down and swipe out. I'm going to change the diameter to 2. Then I'm going to take my dimension tool, go from the top of the circle to the center of the circle, and I'm going to change that to 9. Now, the lines turn black. I need to just change this to 9. The lines turn black, my circle's in the right spot. Now, we're going to use something called the circular pattern. So you can find it by going under linear pattern and choosing circular pattern. I'm going to click on the object I want to create a circular pattern of. I'm going to change this from 3 to 6 because I want 6 circles. Then I'm going to click away from my sketch, and there are my 6 circles, nice and quick and nice and easy. All right, let's go back to our reference document here. And I am going to create these triangles. So these triangles are going to be 4.5 inches up and 8.5 inches across. So 4.5 and 8.5. So before we position things, let's just draw it. There's no triangle tool, so I'm just going to use my line tool here. That was 4.5, and then I'm going to go 8.5 across. And then just, again, use my line tool to connect the dots. Okay, and you don't need to dimension that one. Now, if we look back to my reference document here, there's a point here. That point is showing that my the center point or the midpoint of this line is in line with the origin. So there's actually a point tool I'll show you how to use. So if I go to search tools and I type in point, I'm then going to take a point and I want it to be in the midpoint of that line. So the box shows up, I'm going to click the point. Then I'm going to use constraints. You've probably never heard of constraints, but there are all these different constraints that allow us to put parameters on different shapes, sketches, points, things like that. So I'm going to use the vertical constraint, and I want the midpoint that we just created to be vertical with the origin. And it's rotating it. Let's see if I do this with this, hopefully it doesn't rotate it. There we go. Yeah, so not the origin. You're going to make the midpoint of the triangle that we just made vertical with the center point of this top circle, not the origin. All right. So now we notice that the top of my triangle is 2.5 inches from the top of my circle. So I'm going to take my dimension tool. I'm going to go from the top of the circle to the top of the triangle, and that should be 2.5. Now, you'll probably know we're going to use circular pattern again to create 6 of these all around. So I'm going to choose circular pattern. I'm going to then select my triangle shape. And it only selected one line, so I'm just going to click on the other 2. I'm going to change this from 3x to 6x, click away, and now I have all my triangles. It's okay if they're blue. That's because we only defined the first one and then you created the circular pattern around. Now, one of the last steps in our sketch here is creating our teeth. So in order to create our teeth properly, we are going to create a construction line that's in the center of the top of our circle. So in order to create a construction line, you have to choose 2 tools. You need to use the line tool and also the construction tool. I am going to hover over the origin and move my mouse all the way up, click down and up. The distance or the length of this doesn't matter. If you want to just make it consistent, make it 4. That's perfectly fine with me, whatever's easiest for you. All right, so we have that construction line. That's going to help us with some geometry here. So now we have our triangle. So I'm going to end up making 2 triangles at the top of my gear. Each triangle is going to be 2 inches by 2 inches, and the 2 triangles are going to be 70 degrees apart from each other. So I'm going to go back to my document. I'm going to choose the line tool and I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to first just make my triangle. I am then going to dimension that triangle. 2 by 2. And then I'm going to make a second one. Now we can save some time by using the mirror tool, but I want to make sure that these triangles are in the exact right spot and the exact right dimensions as we move forward. Now, in order to put a degree dimension on something, you're just going to click the 2 lines that you want to add your degrees to, and that's going to be 70. And sometimes when sketches can't be solved, things pop up. Whatever box is in red, you can just delete, and that'll move things. Okay? Now, you'll notice one of my triangles kind of moved a little bit. Right? The distance moved between the 2. So let's go ahead and use my dimension tool, my reference sketch, to dimension the distance between there. So it's about 2. So our triangles are about 2 by 2 by 2. So we're going to see if I can put that dimension on here as well. Let's change this to 2, and then it moves it over. You see my lines are black. Okay, now we're going to continue on the circular pattern tool. I know there's a lot going on here, so I'm going to choose circular pattern. I am then going to, let's go back to our reference document. I want to circular pattern this 45 times. So, and there might be some overlap, which is totally fine. We just want to make sure our gear teeth go all the way around. So I'm going to select these 2 portions of our triangle. We're going to select circular pattern. I'm going to change that from 3x to 45. Now, it might look like they're not going to generate, but as long as I put 45 and I click down, they will generate. I'm going to rename this sketch gear and hit the green check. Now, in order to make this 3D, we need to extrude, so I'm going to press extrude, and I'm going to come over here and press gear. Now let's see back on our reference document how thick I made my gear. 1 inch, nice and simple. So I'm going to go back. It's already defaulted to 1 inch. So I'm going to rename this gear. Defaults to 1 inch, hit the green check. And you have your gear. Now, you should only have one part. In order to check your work, you need to assign material and then check the mass. So you're going to 2-finger click on part 1. You're going to assign material. Let's go ahead and choose gold. Gold. I'm going to hit the green check. I'm then going to choose my part, click the scale in the bottom right-hand corner, and your mass should be close to mine. If it's really, really off, if it's off by more than 2 pounds, talk to me and we'll figure out what the issue is.